Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Morning, Michael.
Today, in just 5 minutes, we're going to attempt the impossible and figure out what's going to happen in the world of cryptocurrency this year. Sean, where do we even start?
Such pessimism. Mind you, it is a bit like that. Crypto has a lot of hype, but a lot of companies, super funds and regulators are now talking about it. Last year, there were some extraordinary highs for Bitcoin and other cryptos, but the lows have stung investors too. Evan Lucas is the head of strategy at InvestSMART. Evan, welcome to the Fast Five.
Hello, Sean. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. If an investor's going to get into crypto, what's the one or two things they should be thinking about?
What are you going to do with it? What are you using it for? Why are you, in inverted commas, investing in it? Because that question, I think, needs to be your start point. And why I say that is crypto, from my perspective, is a speculation market. And there is nothing wrong with that. As you just alluded to, last year in 2021, we saw it make a record all-time high, but also have some of its biggest ever movements in its history in terms of up and down movements. So as long as you're going in there eyes wide open, that's what you're getting yourself into with inverted commas again, investing, then by all means, have a look at what cryptos do. The reason I say what is it is you can't be thinking about using crypto as a fiat currency for transacting. It's still very, very limited in doing anything you can do in your daily lives. It is very, very limited in actually using it as an ability to do a transfer of services or goods, because tomorrow it could be 30% more expensive or 30% cheaper than what your service or goods you were trying to offer or are buying. So that is my concern with crypto, is that it still doesn't know what it is. It still doesn't know what type of asset it is, and people are using this more as a speculation rather than anything other than that.
You know what worries me a bit about it, Evan, is if Elon Musk tweets something, it can jump 10 or fall 10%.
Correct. And that's the other reason that I still don't think it is moving out of an infancy asset class into a developed or a more mature asset class. The fact that one person has the power to make or break billions of US dollars of value shows you that it is not mature, and shows you the kinds of risks that are behind it. Those that sit there and try and tell you it's a hedge, that it's a hedge against inflation, it's the new world gold, completely ignore what that term actually is, which is that if you're a hedge against inflation, you need to be offsetting a movement of 2 to 3%, not 30, 40, 50%. So he is an absolute standout. Then you also get the stories around frontier markets and frontier economies. So look at what's going on in Central America with them taking it up as the noted currency of their countries. It shows you that it is still very, very risky and has very limited ability to be used as a real world asset just now.
So in a sense, there's a market for it. It's fine to buy into it, but think of it as a speculative asset as opposed to saving for a house or putting in the share market with a company that has consistent earnings run, that type of thing.
Yeah, and by all means, there will be people that will point out to me straight away that look at the amount of money I've made. And hats off to you. Congratulations. Yes, you've made a lot of money if you've been a believer and you've invested in it over a certain period of time. But it is so untried, as I said, and it is a level of risk that most people would not be able to sleep on. And I think that's the other thing to remember here, is that can you actually invest in a Bitcoin or any form of cryptocurrency, Ethereum, Ripple, whatever it is, and actually sleep? And if you can, then by all means, it obviously does suit your risk profile. But the majority of people, it probably won't.
Now, towards the end of last year, more central banks were coming out and talking about creating their own digital currencies, including the Reserve Bank of Australia. What sort of impact would a central bank-backed digital currency have on cryptocurrencies, do you think, like Bitcoin?
To be honest with you, not much. And the reason I say that is that Bitcoin and those are different to what's been proposed by most central banks. So the currency would therefore be more like a fiat currency in terms of the digital crypto idea. It would run through the systems that something like Ethereum, for example, is backed on. So it's much more secure to some extent. And that is what the central bank's talking about. But it would have the backing of the federal governments. It would be backed by the reserves held by the country of that denoted central currency. So it would be more like a fiat currency than anything. So it's more of a risk to the Aussie dollar in terms of what it is as a fiat currency, rather than to what we're currently talking about with cryptocurrencies, which is deregulation, decentralized, non-backed coins.
Evan, thank you for talking to Fast Five.
Thank you, Sean.
That was Evan Lucas, Head of Strategy at InvestSMART. What did you reckon of that, Michael? You're going to invest in cryptos?
You started the conversation by saying I was a bit too pessimistic. I don't think you said anything in there that is going to change my mind on that front. Still a little bit too risky for me.
Fair enough.
As always, you should get professional advice before making any investment decisions. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
That's it for today. Make sure you've hit follow on the podcast. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was The Fast Five by Fear and Greed.